Jai Shri Krishna to all. Welcome to Path to Anandam Gita series. Freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy and peaceful life. Based upon 108 mantras to awaken your soul. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita, my questions and God's answers. Today we have a series number 104. Transform doubts into divine decisions and actions. Pranam to Harihar Ji Maharaj, Guru Ji, for his blessings, his guidance. I am Satya Kalra, your host for the program and founder of Path to Anandam. And whatever you see, all these 15 bestsellers, CDs on Amazon, these are all guidance and blessings from Harihar Ji Maharaj. With his guidance, I became the happiness coach. Start learning Gita and studying Gita and also teaching Gita. And then preaching Gita to individuals in the groups, online, and also counseling the CEOs and management people, etc. And some family members as well, wherever the individual need is. And we have on YouTube, as all these programs which we have here, they're all posted at YouTube, and we have now more than 525 videos there. So in case you miss anyone, or you want your loved ones or your friends to listen to it and share it, please share it. So then everybody benefits from it and is not deprived from this Bhagavad Gita's wisdom. Today we have taken the verse, chapter 18, 71, 72, and 73. How to regain the memory. How to make eternal divine decisions. And what are the benefits? Because the topic here is transform doubts into divine determinations. So how to practice that with our homework? And what is our sankalpa? Sankalpa of the week is I make divine decisions with meditation and question and answers. So starting with very first prayer from Arjuna. When he was depressed, confused, fearful, didn't know what to do and what to do. In other words, he was totally in Vishad. But then he had a divine company. So his Vishad became Vishad Yoga. In other words, his Vishad is the one which took him to his higher conscious level through the blissful journey, where initially he said, Na jotasiti gobindam, I will not perform my action, because he did not know that action was not just the action, but it was his prescribed duty, his dharma. So anytime we are confused, we need the guidance from Supreme Power. This prayer is very powerful. The condition is we have to be humble with surrender. So let's all practice, because we are the Arjuna of today who gets confused, fearful, worried, depressed. And feel like we are in Vishad. So let's pray to Bhagwan Ji, Lord Krishna, make him our companion and convert our Vishad into Vishad Yoga. So as Arjuna said, Karpanye dosho pahat swabhavaha prashyami tvam dharma sammud chetah yachsayisyani nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham chadimam tvam prapanyam shishyasteham chadimam tvam prapanyam. My heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all my composure and my mind is confused about my duty, my dharma. I am requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me, not what I think is good for me, not what I am asking for what is good for me. I am asking you tell me, regardless what I ask for, that what is good for me. So I can do as you advise. Why? Because I'm your disciple. I surrender to you. Please instruct me. And after listening to that heartful prayer, request from Arjuna, Lord Krishna, pour him with this infinite wisdom, supreme wisdom, transcendental knowledge, and took him on this blissful journey where Arjuna was eventually transformed and he recognized his duty and he says, Karishe vachanam tav, I do as you advise. So Hariharji Maharaj put it together in many different quotes where I put it together here, which says, the Gita is a step-by-step spiritual instruction manual to transform our doubts into decisions and action and attain freedom from miseries and pains, moksha, liberation, eternal happiness, peace, oneness, which is also called self-realization, where one realizes, I am Satya Chit Ananda. While living in the material world, in this prakriti, in this maya, and also beyond. So here is Arjuna and his divine company, Lord Krishna, and how Arjuna is praying to him, very humbly, surrendering to him. So let's all be on this blissful journey to our supreme self, highest self, through practicing Gita's teachings. Because Gita's each shloka, 700 verses, 700 shlokas, and 24,447 words. Each word is Amrit, Somras, where Lord Krishna spoke 574 verses. And Arjuna spoke 85 verses. Sanjay spoke 40 verses, or sometimes 41 verses. And Dhritarashtra had only one verse. And in that, further divided these 18 chapters into 3 yogas, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. In other words, all 3 yogas lead to the same goal of liberation, but must be practiced together. In other words, when we do our action, which is described in chapter 1 to 6, how to perform our actions, Sarva Bhutite Rata, has to be beneficiary for all, not just for me. In other words, it does not have to be selfish action. It has to be selfless action with seva, with the attitude of seva. Neki kar kuwe mein dal. With love and compassion, Here, chapter 7 to 12, Bhakti Yoga, love and compassion. Whatever you do it with love and compassion for everyone. Why? Because this whole Mother Nature, Prakriti, is the small portion. It is all the part of supreme power. And everything is God. Vasudev Sarvam Iti. And then, how should we do it? We want to make sure, Bhagwanji makes sure he gives us a true knowledge, not just the worldly knowledge, which is important, but true knowledge from chapter 13 to 18, which is how to perform our action. Many times we are confused. Should I do this? Should I do this way? Do's and don'ts. And here Krishna Bhagwanji gives that knowledge, Gyan, that you are not the doer. Supreme power is the doer. So just you are a puppet in his hands. So do it with surrender. And the chapter 18, which is the final chapter, Moksha Sannyas Yoga. And we are taking the verses 71, 72, and 73 today. And ultimately getting the essence of our life and Chit Ananda. So by removing all these layers of ignorance, just like onions, now we are at the Anandamayi Kosha. This is also called Anandamayi Kosha. So again, as I said, we are in the 18th grade, final grade of completing, getting the PhD of life, not just the Bhagavad Gita, life. In other words, we truly understand who we are, where do we come from, how would I reach back, what is the purpose of our life, how can we attain it. So this is a union with God, self-realization, which means liberation through the path of renunciation and surrender. By purifying, removing all of our resentments, all of our shortcomings, and transforming ourselves to finally realize I am Chit Ananda. So this is the ultimate summary of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is. That's why it says Bhagavad Gita is the royal road to liberation. In other words, miseries to moksha. And our whole series is beyond miseries and pains and miseries to liberation. So we learned a part of this last week where Lord Krishna says, the one who shares this knowledge with others is my most dearest. That is the most divine action. Ya imam parmam guhat, mad bhaktev vidyasati, bhakti mai param kratva, mame veshyasi sanshya. There is no doubt that the person is very dear to me, and that is the most divine act. But then the question came, if only teaching Bhagavad Gita, sharing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita with others is the divine act and the most dearest to God, then what happened to others? And then his divine blessing, his mercy, his grace comes, and he says, don't worry. Even the listening is as good as the preaching and sharing with others. So he says, one who even just listens, Shraddhavan anusuyascha, Shunyada api yo nara, so api mukta. That person is also, when he listens to the sacred dialogue of our, with faith and without an attitude of finding faults and skepticism, becomes free from sins and will attain a higher world of the virtuous. So here is where the birth of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavat. Here the story of King Parikshit, an appearance of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Mahapuran, where Parikshit went to the Guru and asked how he can do his salvation because he was given only 8 days because he committed a sin. And in order to pay for that sin, he had given a strong, very, what you call sharp, that he will die within 8 days. So he makes a best use of his time and he goes to the Guru and asks, how should I go beyond these papas and get the mokshas during these 8 days? And these 8 days, the Mahapuran was given to him, and he very attentively listened. And that's where it says, finding faults or its skepticism. He did not find any faults. He followed what he was fully listening. Because what happens many times when we listen to Bhagavad Gita teachings, as I mentioned before, or some other saints, then our mind keep going, why this person is saying this? So we become very skeptical. And we start finding the faults, that this person has said this one, but the person should have said this way because the meaning is this way, because according to his interpretation, which is correct, he's right on that part. But at the same time, give a benefit of doubt to everyone rather than finding the faults, because Bhagwan Ji says, wherever there is a Bhagavad Gita, teachings, preachings, sharings, even just discussing, listening, or I am there, I am listening all this because the power you are getting to speak about Bhagavad Gita, that is my power. I am the one who is speaking through you. So our job is not to find the faults, but listen very attentively. And then Arjuna, now as it is the Lord Krishna has taught him all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That's why it says it is the Guhad. This is the most Guham, secret of secret. And secret and secret, which we learned before, is the teachings of this Gyan, transcendental knowledge, that you are just this body is a temporary, soul is a permanent. So gives the Gyan of wisdom of body, soul, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Prakriti, Mother Nature, Maya, along with Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So now from this chapter 13, we learn so much that we are not just the body. Though Lord Krishna had explained previously also in chapter 2, but here he is reminding again that we are not just the body. So we should not just live in that ego that I am the doer. Supreme power is the doer, which is getting done through this divine Shakti, this current which flows in our body. Without that, we cannot perform anything. So he asked Arjuna again that after teaching him all the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and now he is asking him, O Arjuna, Kanchit ek achutyam partha, tva ek काग्रेण चेतसा कंचिद अज्ञान समूह प्रणश्यत्य धनंजय कंचिद एश्चतन. Hey Arjun, have you listened to this? Tve akrigya chetsa, with a focused mind rather than just mind, because mind keep wandering here and there. When we listen to somebody, it keep wandering. So he says, try to understand the true meaning. Have you tried to understand? Here says Kanchita Gyan Samuha. So have you tried to understand the true meaning of this teaching? Has your delusion caused by ignorance have completely destroyed? Pranshatya means your moha has been nashta or not. Because we start our prayers from very beginning. Karpanye dosho pahat svabhava pashyami tvam sarvadhammu deta. Yachasai syani nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste ham tva. So when we become the shishyaste, we ask him, but dharma sammurcheta. He's asking him, dharma, I do not understand what is my dharma. Why? Because I have lost the capability of thinking. So please guide me. And we have been praying starting each session. So this is where now, after teaching, after listening to his prayer and guiding him and giving him all the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, now he's asking him, has your delusion caused by ignorance been completely destroyed? So the message here is good listening is as rewarding as teaching and preaching and sharing and knowing that I am Chit Ananda. So by listening, we can also learn whatever other is talking about or sharing it. So only preaching and sharing is not the answer here. Bhagwan Ji says, even you listen to it, then that's why he asked him, have you listened carefully? The true meaning, not just for listening part, hearing part, but you must listen to understand. And then Arjuna, he answers. He transformed from a limited mind to infinite potential, supreme wisdom. Because before he was just a crying Arjuna. Karpanye dosho pahat svabhava. He was just crying. And now, after listening to it, he says, my delusion is gone. I am free from all the miseries. Because nashto moha smriti labda tvat prasadan. Here we should listen to it, we should pay attention to it. Here is a tvat prasadan maya yud. Sthito asmin gतसन deha. Karishye vachanam tam. So my dear Lord, my delusion is destroyed. I have regained my memory, self-knowledge that who I am. How? By your grace. Of course, your guidance, but he's saying by your grace. Now I am determined and free from all the doubts. I shall act accordingly to your word or advice. So now, गतसन deha. No more doubts. Because Arjuna was very doubtful because he was attached to his family members, his grandfather, his gurus. And he thought he was going to incur the sin because he did not understand. He thought that was just the action. And Bhagwan Ji said, no, this is your prescribed duty. And once we understood that, his vishad, he was beyond his vishad. That's where he says, गतसन deha. I don't have any more doubts because I'm beyond the attachment. And also when he thought he was the one who was doing all this action, means he was also engrossed by ego, that he was the doer. But after listening to that, he was beyond attachment. His attachment and ego got dissolved. And he was not in Vishad anymore. Then he says, Smriti labda. I regain my memory that what is my duty. He understood that he's not just the body. In other words, usko atma bodh ho gaya. He understood that he is not just the body, but he's Atma. And uski Atma ka, what is the Swadharma of his Atma. Not just the body, but his Atma. Atma and Swadharma is always unity, love, peace, compassion, protection, forgiveness. So all this he understood, and then he remembered that he is not just the physical body of Arjuna, he is the Atma, and his Atma's responsibility is to perform his duty as a Kshatriya, to protect the society. And then he says, Sthito asmin, gain the stability of mind. You know, when we are confused, upset, angry, worried, we cannot think straight. We are not calm. And when we are not calm, our vision is also tarnished. That's why they say that whenever you are very emotionally upset, you should not make any decision, because those decisions will be wrong. And think about it, anytime we made the decision or we said something in anger, we always regretted that. So those were wrongs. So that's where the message is, that gaining the stability of mind is very important, because that's where he initially says, Dhyayato Vishan Punsa, Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangas Sanjayate Kama, Kama Krodho Vijayate, Krodha Bhavti Sammoha, Sammoha Smriti Vibhrama, Smriti Branshad, Buddhi Nasha, Buddhi Nasha Pranshati. All these vices, Kam, Krodh, Lo, Moh, Ankar, all these vices tarnish our buddhi, destroy our buddhi. वो तभी कहते हैं, God, give me the good buddhi, अच्छी बुद्धि देना. It means take us beyond these vices so we can have a clear vision and we can think clearly. Buddhi yukto yoga. Because Bhagwan ji कहता है, buddhi yukto, whoever has the buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means put your buddhi, intellect, live in the mindfulness of God, supreme power. Then your buddhi will be always pure and you will be able to make a decision. So here he says, Nashto Moha. He says, I do not have any more attachment. I do not have any more ego, but Nashto Moha means attachment. Therefore, my smriti is back, because my mind is stable. I know what is the dharma of my Atma, which is therefore I must perform my duty. And then he says, Tvat prasadam, gratitude, only with your grace. He's acknowledging that this is all happened because you had blessed me with this wisdom. So expressing the gratitude. This is the power of gratitude. When we express our gratitude to others, people try to do, they get motivated and they perform their action. And that's what happened to Arjuna. And then he said, Karishye vachanam ta, determination with total acceptance and free will. So what he totally accepted, what he should have been done, what he should do. Why he surrendered? And how he surrendered? Because he understood that his free will, initially where his free will was, I am not going to do anything, na jotasati govindam. Then his free will became the divine will, because he got connected with divine. He listens to supreme power, Bhagwan Krishna Bhagwan Ji. And he surrendered. And then he could say, Karishye vachanam tav, I will do as you advise. So Arjuna is fully transformed with God's grace. So the message here is, ask for advice, but listen attentively without finding the faults and being skeptical. And then follow the advice and act upon it. Then we will purify our mind, intellect, and transform and realize that I am Chit Ananda. So just like Arjuna here, he is marching God is leading him. He is his charioteer. And he is just behind him. So the message here is, let's give our reins of our life to God and let him guide us what to do and what not to do. So what are the applications? How can we apply this in our life? So Krishna's or Gita's teachings remove doubts, gives the wisdom of clarity, and leads to decisive action. So how can we apply? Overcoming the doubts. In other words, seek clarity and guidance to resolve confusion. Now, a student, if he's connected, he can make a right decision, which field he or she should go to. What kind of job one should take. When we have a personal challenges, physically, emotionally, relationship, financially, anything, then get the advice. Study Bhagavad Gita, but if we are confused, go to some guru, find your advisor, your guru. And as I say all the time, I always went to my gurus or saints or more pure conscious level people to guide me and put me on a right path when I'm confused. And that really helps. And then business and leadership. There, the analysis, whatever that, and they use this, it's just not that just the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, the spiritual connection is there. But in a business and leadership, we have to learn about the worldly knowledge. We should analyze it. And then listen to the guidance. We have there many consultants, many team members. Like, for example, we all can relate to it, COVID-19. Dr. Fauci, everybody used to look into it. What does Dr. Fauci say? What does Dr. Fauci brings the new information about COVID? So everybody was looking and he was doing the thorough study of that. I always look at Satya Kalra, Microsoft. You know how much he pays attention to it and how much he's working on that now AI and many other areas, but AI is the one. A lot of companies are paying attention to it. And then gaining clarity, deep reflection, seek advice. We should always go for that. And then make the decision like Arjuna. He made the decision after listening to all that wisdom. So how could we practice? How could we go into this divide decisions and action? Again, daily spiritual planner for self-transformation. Set the trend of our day. Charge our batteries just like a phone. From the morning with Om mantras or reading Bhagavad Gita or any scriptures, whatever it resonates with you. Even just take one message. But make sure we take care of our body, yoga, exercise, taking care of our pranic energy with yogic exercises, with the breathing exercises, meditation, prayers. And then during the day, we should take one message and practice it. In the morning, we read it. During the day, we practice it. And here, the message here is what to practice. Ask for advice, listen, follow, and do your duty. Because the topic here is miseries to moksha. Even this chapter is miseries to moksha, sannyas yoga. So here in summary, when we go through this 30 days or studying Bhagavad Gita, after practicing, we evaluate our day. How did I do it? How could I done it differently? This is a self-inquiry part comes. and then meditation, and pray to God and thank you, and then let it go, and then just sarva dharma paritachya, mamekam sharanam vraj, aham tam sarpapabhyo, mokshashyami mahacha. Always remember God's promise. But prior to the God's promise, our job is to sarva dharman paritachya. Mamekam sharanam vraj, we should just surrender to him, where it says, from miseries, we should perform our duty with renunciation, sannyasa, not the sannyasa of the actions, sannyasa of the fruits of the action, with love and compassion, devotion, bhakti yoga. Then ask for advice, listen and follow the advice, and then perform our action with feeling of surrender that I am not the doer, God is the doer. And then God's grace comes, and we experience the union, ultimate yoga, oneness, where we feel liberated and realize that I am Chit Ananda. So our homework is Swadhyaya Abhyasam. Be aware and ask yourself, myself, the questions of self-inquiry. Do I have my supreme goal of my life, self-realization? Do I live in God's consciousness, awareness, kan kan mein, chan chan mein, where it's called mindfulness? Do I practice the teaching of Bhagavad Gita? Do I ask for advice, listen, follow, and make the decisions accordingly with divine will, not just with my will? In other words, do I combine my free will with God's will? Do I surrender and let go? Am I only talking or working Gita? Am I the practitioner? Because our goal is not just to be talking, but walking, working Gita. So continue to do this inquiry, because asking question is not that doubting myself, but it is motivating me, and also it is guiding me where am I and where do I need to go further and how I need to go Bhagavad Gita. So become a Sakshi, live in awareness, observe, and do your best and let go. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And then Swami Vivekananda, rise, awake, stop not until goal is reached of self-realization. So our sankalpa today is, I ask for advice, I listen and make the decision accordingly. So I practice Bhagavad Gita's teachings. I follow Bhagavad Gita's teachings. But again, this is not a quick fix. So have a patience, because planting the seed, coming to the fruit-bearing tree takes time. It goes through the many transformations, a small plant to a tree with flowers, and then finally the fruit comes. But our sankalpa must be without any desires. Sankalp prabhavam, kamas tattva, and with the manse indriya gramam, vinyam sammatata. So samtata. So with all the controlling our senses, and then little by little, we will reach where we live in the mindfulness. So teaching of Bhagavad Gita, with blessing of God, we will experience eventually, who am I? So thank you very much for attending the Transform Doubts into Divine Determination. Action, decisions, actions. So freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy, and peaceful life, and beyond birth and death. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you. Thank you.